Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
I'm not usually a hat fan, but wow.
Jeg vil ikke være en dagger.
I'm really sipping on that dumb bitch juice today, and
Yeah, I am. But you know what? Someday I just might grow out of that. But you will never stop being a jerk.
All chocolate cakes are good. You're a fascist.
it's hideous.
It's horrible.
It's home. Angry white boy, let's go!
Hello, and welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. The only podcast to put the rill in thriller and the hoe in horror. That's Simone LaRue.
Aw, that's Chad Ekowitz. How fun!
Yeah, you know, that's what we do. We keep it light, we keep it fresh, we keep it professional.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Simone, I feel so old. I got the mark of oldom this
Oh,
week.
no.
One
Which
of my one of my students used a slang term that I didn't know the meaning of.
Oh, God.
And he had to explain it to me, and that's when I realized it's like I'm old
Mortifying.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's time to put you out to pasture.
Yeah, just, you know, like do what you do to old horses, just shotgun to the face. Just end it. It's
What was the
done.
word?
To drop out, to dip out. Do you want me to give it to you in a sentence, or do you know it?
Isn't that just like you're leaving? Like, oh, I'm gonna dip out?
Yeah, it is. Like in terms of like a Zoom call, that was the
Okay.
context. Well, it goes to show you're still young and hip and down with the,
I got
down
that
with the
fully out of
kids.
context.
Yeah, that's really impressive though.
Thank you.
Me, on the other hand, old, disgusting, put me out to die.
Old crone?
Old crone is exactly right. But talking of old crones, it does sort of fit as a segue. What are we doing this week, Simone?
We are just returning into the loving, spooky arms of our favorite genre, horror movies. We're doing it. We're covering two horror movies that came out in 2020 and did not do so great. That is The Turning and
Mhm.
Fantasy Island.
Ooh. I mean, it is so nice to return to this. I mean, how close are we just on a perpetual basis of just turning this into a horror movie podcast?
It's a constant struggle, truly.
It is really difficult. I think if we had more time, like if we didn't have to have full-time jobs and stuff, we would just develop another thriller
separate,
horror
totally.
podcast. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you before we get into either of these movies, what would be your fantasy? So you're on Fantasy
Ooh.
Island, you've just won a ticket. What's your fantasy? What's going to happen?
You know, I don't have like a ton of like big regrets or anything. Truly,
No.
my fantasy would just be a nice island getaway. Like that would be really fun.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Yeah.
Because that
I feel
island's
you.
beautiful. I mean, yeah, I would just like to stay in a nice hotel on the island, maybe have some fun activities to do during the day, some
Mhm.
cocktails, some good food. Like, I look, after 2020, my bar for a nice time is so low. My
Yes.
bar for like ambitions in my life, so low. That would be great.
Oh, I want to say who hurt you, but we know who hurt
We
you.
know
It was
exactly who.
2020.
And if I can bring a bunch of my friends too, and we can all have a good
Mhm.
time together, that would be really good.
That does sound nice. You know what? It's lovely. And what can the island do to twist that? Absolutely nothing. You would just have a great time. It would
Yeah.
just be lovely.
Yeah.
A little bit of jet skiing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that. Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What would your fantasy be?
My fantasy would probably be, that's a tough one, but I reckon it would probably be just like a nice, real comfy couch
Ooh.
and just a shit ton of books and
Ooh.
like a PlayStation with whatever games I want. And I
Mm.
can just, you know, just switch between reading and playing PlayStation, and then just like whatever food I could possibly imagine and drink would just immediately come to me. And
Right.
it's just
And you
very
don't put on
simple.
any weight. If anything, you
No,
actually
no.
get skinnier.
Yeah. I'm like, I've got perfect body all the time. Like it's just miraculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would just be the best way to spend time, just doing absolutely nothing but really relaxing and
Mm.
enjoyable things. And again, what can the island do to ruin that? Except maybe cut out the last page of every book and or the last 10 minutes of every game, which is pretty diabolical.
Yeah, that's pretty horrendous.
But let's get into the movies then. So what are you drinking this week?
It's a little chilly today. Cape Town's definitely
Uh-huh.
picked up on the fact that autumn is close by. So
Uh-huh.
I'm having a whiskey to warm me up.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
Are you still with the Ballantines?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Same bottle. So
Very, very nice.
I'm not just out here buying whiskeys.
No, no, in this economy?
In this
Absolutely
economy?
not. But you know what? It's also a good sign for our listeners to know that you're still on the same bottle of Ballantines, because otherwise then it's sort of like week
Yeah.
by week. That's quite worrying, and then we gotta have that talk, and that's exhausting.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm in
Good.
actually a really good place, guys.
Yeah, which is nice coming out of 2020.
Yeah, touch wood. Do you know, I was talking to my mom on the phone this week
Hmm.
because I gotten some really good news that I'll obviously tell everybody about when we do our gratitude. And she was like,
Mhm.
wow, 2021 might be your year. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Mother, touch wood right now. How dare you curse me?
You are so paranoid. It's unbelievable. Like, I
have
don't
no
blame
faith.
you.
Yeah.
I don't blame
No.
you.
And
You've
then-
suffered some major trauma.
And then my mom
so
was like,
this is the
haha,
real.
that's true. Like, haha, what if you were pregnant? And I was like, shut up.
What the
Shut up,
fuck?
Mom.
What? Why would she even suggest
She's
that?
just cackling across the phone. Like,
How dare she? How dare she? Not okay.
yeah. So
Oh my
anyway, that was a moment. But yes, that really speaks to where I'm at. Just things are going
Yeah.
well, and I'm like really worried about it.
You're waiting for the shoe to drop, like
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
anxious cat, just waiting for something to go wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I feel you. Are
Yeah.
your parents super broody as well? Like they want grandkids, or have they not reached that point?
I mean, they know what my financial situation is after last year, so I don't think they're like counting on anything anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
Okay, that's
They love their
it's
grandkittens.
realistic. Yeah, they're realistic about where they're at
Yeah.
with grandkids. Yeah.
yeah, they
that's
just
fair,
they're happy with Magnus and Oliver for now.
that's fair. For now, ominous music plays.
Well, then I'll just get a
Um,
dog.
Yeah. Just keep renewing the pet cycle,
Exactly.
and they'll and they'll be perpetually
They'll be
happy.
fine.
Yeah. This week I've escaped the normal realms, and I am drinking a Bison grass vodka, which is
Ooh,
very, very strange. So it's vodka made from bison grass,
interesting.
and it's got a very peculiar taste. It goes really well with apple juice,
Uh-huh.
and but it's obviously still a vodka, and yeah, I've just mixed it with some nice pineapple juice, and it's just
Ooh,
yeah, it's just very nice. You know, it's coming in
festive,
spring here. Yeah, it's
tropical.
very nice. Yeah, I'm feeling that tropical vibe. The sun's
Yeah.
out today, so you know,
Ooh.
very rare for England. Got to put on my puka necklace.
Careful. I think you win with the vodka, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
does vodka usually come in stronger than whiskey?
I truly have no idea.
And we'll go with it because why not? It's a more sort of exotic kind of alcohol. So I'll go first. I'm happy to speak about this very confusing movie first.
Yeah, I had to Google some things just to like make
Me
sure
too.
that I wasn't being an uncultured bitch. But like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really nice change of pace when we're not the dumb ones, when the movie is dumb. I felt really proud of myself that I wasn't the dumb one with this one. I was
Especially
very happy.
because like there are all these really beautifully done, smart horror movies being made these
Mhm.
days. So like often I walk away being like, wow, I'm not smart, or like, wow, that was really clever. And
Yeah.
there are probably even cleverer ways that it's clever that I cannot comprehend, and that's okay.
Yeah, and this isn't one of them, which is
No.
great. You get to walk away feeling more superior than the movie, which is so rare in today's horror economy. Right, let me
Okay.
tell you about The Turning,
The Turning 2020.
2020.
Oh, thank God.
So,
Okay. 'Cause I saw there
what were
was
you
another
thinking? It
one.
was the
Yeah.
Turning from 1960, or the
Uh.
Turning from 1989? Yeah, there are
yeah,
a lot.
I live in
There are a
fear
lot.
that we'll watch the wrong versions.
It is, wasn't it our first episode? This is like a real callback where I thought we were doing Man of Steel, and you messaged me and we were like, no, we're doing Aquaman instead.
Yeah.
And I had to watch both the Man of Steel, which is the worst movie of all
Yeah.
time, apart from everything else in that sort of DC genre of that time. And it was Aquaman, which is just a delightfully fun film, as we've
Yeah.
said on that episode. So it was a weird one that day.
Shame.
Anyway, back to weird ones of today's day. Kate Mandel, played by Mackenzie Davis, is a schoolteacher who has just been offered an incredibly lucrative post with an incredibly wealthy family. All she has to do is be a live-in nanny and a teacher to one little girl. Only thing is that this little girl's mum and dad died a couple years ago from a really horrible car crash, so the little girl is still suffering from the trauma of losing her parents so early on. Kate can empathize with this because her dad left her many years ago and her mother resides in a psychiatric hospital, so Kate's been all alone for the longest of times. With this in mind, she takes the job. On arrival, she immediately falls in love with the little girl, Flora, played by Brooklyn Prince. She's sweet, confident, and just downright delightful. Kate is a little more apprehensive of the housekeeper, however, Mrs. Gross, played by Barbara Martin, because she is very overbearing, elitist, and keeps making snide remarks about Kate. In her defense, though, Miss Gross is a little bit apprehensive because Flora's old nanny, Jessel, played by Dana Thompson, up and left out of nowhere, leaving Flora completely stranded. What made this extra weird was that it seemed like Jessel was really happy, right up until she left. A couple days into her new post, Kate's plans are upended by the return of Flora's brother, Miles, played by Flynn Wolfhard. He's a bit older than Flora and has a super creepy vibe about him, but he seems to help with Flora and gets her to do things she isn't confident to do by herself. Kate almost immediately finds out the reason Miles has come back from boarding school is because he beat up another kid really, really badly. So their relationship starts off on rocky ground. Throughout the movie, weird shit keeps happening, and Miles acts like a real creeper towards Kate, often trying to come onto her despite her saying no, and the clear and disgusting age gap between them. As the movie progresses, we learn that Miles was best friends with the old horse master, Quint, played by, this is a good name, this will be fun, Neil Greg Fulton, before he died. He used to take Miles drinking despite being underage and was generally a bad influence on him. Kate also learns that Quint was preying on Jessel, making sexual advances and making her feel unsafe. That's the whole reason why Jessel tried to leave in the first place. Don't want to go into spoilers because this movie only came out last year, but the whole point of it is that that it seems like either Jessel's ghost is trying to get retribution, or Quint's ghost has inhabited Miles' body and is making him do all this torturous crap, or, given Kate's mum's fragile mental state, Kate now has also finally gone crazy too and is imagining the whole thing. The movie thus ends on an ambiguous note of, did Quint's ghost really come back from the dead to wreak havoc on everyone, or is Kate genuinely mentally unwell? Who knows? The end.
The end. What is your cliffhanger?
So my cliffhanger has to be this one, and it is literally anything that Miles says that is creepy. That kid, I think I'm gonna go for the one where he also says that tattoo on your neck is really sexy.
Oh, a child saying that to you.
Yeah, super gross. Gross, super gross. Like, okay, Finn Wolfhard does an incredible performance in this movie of being creepy.
He kills it.
He absolutely nails this. Especially like if you can't picture who Finn Wolfhard is, he is from Stranger Things. He's the kid from It, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 as well. So, you know, very charismatic, very excellent actor. And he kills this performance, which, I mean, let's be fair, in terms of like good things of this movie, the performances were on point.
All of them. Really, really good. Yeah. Solid performances. So this is obviously based off the novella, The Turning of the Screw.
Yes.
I was confused. I went in blind. So when I heard The Turning, I was like, oh, like werewolves or vampires or something. And then I started hearing the names like Flora and Miles, and I was like, oh, you dumb bitch. It's The Turning of the Screw. People who watch Haunting of Bly Manor will obviously recognize a lot of these character names. In all fairness to the movie, the novella is also really fucking ambiguous and nothing is explained.
Oh, right. Okay, so you've read the novella then? I
read the SparkNotes synopsis of the novella. And that's valid too.
Oh, that's for all our teenage listeners out there who don't want to read things like fucking Adam Bede or other terrible novels that they make us read.
Read the summary of the themes, you're fine.
Yes. So the whole point of this, and I mean, there have been so many. I also had to read over this because I didn't want to feel like a dumb bitch when
Yeah.
this movie ended and I had no idea what was going on. So I went onto YouTube and I found a video because I don't read when I don't have to read these stupid things, Simone. I
That's
refuse.
fair. You're studying for so many exams. Like, you're doing so much reading already.
Yeah, exactly. So video really helps get that kind of this nonsense into my brain in a different medium. So I found a video explaining the ending and everything. And so apparently this film is not the first adaptation or even the second adaptation of The Turning of the Screw. And the best one, they say, is called The Innocence, which I haven't seen. It's from like the 1960s, but I think we should definitely at some point watch it to see what a good version of this film would have been. But the whole point of it is the ambiguity of it.
Yeah.
Is she going crazy, or is this actually happening? Like, is this evil shit happening? So like, how do you feel they did with that whole is she or isn't she crazy kind of thing?
I didn't love it.
No.
I don't know. I guess like it was a bit of a hint that they would choose that angle when she does visit her mom to begin with. But you kind of also know that up until that point, she's personally had no history of mental illness.
Yeah, exactly.
And she acts like a very normal person would. Like, she's really good with the kids. She doesn't really like have these big outbursts or anything, even when Miles is being like the biggest fucking creep.
Oh my gosh.
She's actually a relatively passive character. And so then it just gets to the end where like she's understandably off her rocker because of like all the stuff that like she's been seeing. Like, I also would not be doing super well. And then it just gets to the end. She has like, there's like a little time loop, and then she has that dream sequence, and then it's done, and you're like, oh, you guys were also like, you meant that. Like, it wasn't just supposed to be like, people are trying to convince her she's crazy. It was like, oh, she could actually be crazy.
Yeah. And I think that was the issue with it as well. It's just like the sort of the fact that they did it in the like last 15 minutes. They don't really lay the groundwork to be like, oh, is she crazy or is it not? It's just sort of like, oh, we forgot that the whole point of this movie was to make her seem like she's going nuts. So we better do something really, really fast with these last 15 minutes. I hope this is okay for everyone.
Yeah, and it really doesn't. I mean, that's fine. Like, if you want to do that, that's cool. I also like that they had a reference to the yellow wallpaper in the end credits. That was really fun. The whole last scene, or like the end credits, is just her like running her hand along the wall as she walks around the room, which I was like, that's a nice touch because I love the yellow wallpaper. But like, that also doesn't really match up with the themes of the novella at all.
No. That's a very different novella in itself as the yellow wallpaper. So like, mixed messages, guys.
Her sanity is never in question in the novella. It's more just like, how much good can you do in the face of like great evil, or like how much can you do to stop innocence from being corrupted? Like, those are the themes of the novella, and like not a lot gets done there.
No, it kind of messes that up a little bit as well. Like, apparently in my limited research for this, there was a alternative ending where so they leave and it seems like that Kate's killed Quince's spirit that's living in Miles and everything looks great, and they leave and they get out and it turns out that they haven't killed Quince's essence and he still resides in Miles, and it's like the whole what have we wrought kind of thing, and it didn't test well with audiences. But I think I would advocate for, in comparison to the ending that we got, I know it's a bit cliche, but I would rather go for that ending.
Or if they're gonna go for the crazy angle, they really had to build that up a bit better and make it clearer that that was like even an option. Because to me, that never felt like an option. It just felt like she was being manipulated to think that that was the case. It's very much like Miles being like, no, you're fucking crazy. And Mrs. Gross also being like, let's hope you haven't turned out like your mom, even though they all know what's going on. So it's just like, it's never, you're just like, oh, I didn't realize that was a thing we were doing. Cool.
It's so weird. It's such a weird thing to do, right? Like towards the end of the film.
Yeah.
And I think from what we've said over like the whole discussion of this movie so far, the only real issue with this movie is the fact that they tried to shoehorn it in the last 15 minutes.
Totally.
How did you feel about the rest of the movie?
I think otherwise it's a pretty solid movie. It's very
Yeah.
creepy. The child actors, both of them do such a great job.
Stunning.
It's very atmospheric. The scenery, like the house and stuff, is so cool. The actress that plays Mrs. Gross does such a great job
She's
at
so
being,
scary.
at being like elitist and spooky and like nice with the kids, but then like so harsh to this poor nanny. I thought that was like it was a very entertaining movie. I was like, oh, as far as like adaptations of old novellas go, like this is solid. I like it.
Yeah.
It was, like you said, it was really just like the last 10 minutes where you're like, okay.
Exactly. Like it could have been like a pretty okay, decent movie. I think if they had kept that original ending with Quince being like escaping from the manor house, like it would have been cliche and like it would have been kind of boring, but it would have made sense at least, and it would have kind of flowed with the rest of the project instead of just being like, oh, okay, we'll do this thing. But like everything else about it is really cool. I thought the special effects were really nice. The whole, the bed moving by itself was very cool. The thing with the dolls was, I mean, dolls are always creepy. Hate dolls.
Creepy.
Dolls are evil and awful. So like, good. Just sort your ending out, guy. Come on.
Yeah, that was clearly like a last minute thing. Like audiences responded poorly and they were like, oh, okay. What if this? And they were like, I guess.
Yeah. Should we read the source text, or what do you think? Just try and get something from there?
Read the Spark Notes page about the themes and motifs? No.
Nah, why not? So what's a scene that could have saved it for you for this one?
I would have liked to see a bit more of a spine in Kate. No, I mean, she really takes a lot of stuff lying down, and like at most she's like, oh, that's not appropriate or whatever, with Miles especially.
Oh my God.
And it's like, you're a teacher, like you should really understand like boundary setting and yelling at creepy little shits to get out of your room. And I also know, like in the novella, she also is a bit more proactive. Like she keeps the kids like locked down. She doesn't let them like wander out to talk to fucking ghosts all the time. And she tries to like get them to talk to her more. And obviously it doesn't work. But like, she takes charge a bit more. And in this, she just has no opportunity. Like these kids just fucking run circles around her. We never really see her teach anything.
No.
And then she's crazy and it's done. And you're just like, honey, try something.
Try harder. Yeah, do something. Don't be so passive as your protagonist. Yeah, that's a really good point. It is a really good point. And I think it is frustrating to watch her just be walked on by this like skinny little creepy kid who clearly seems anemic in himself. Like, I wouldn't, but that scene where he's like drumming every time she speaks, I would have just thrown something hard. Like, oh, that got on my skin.
I do not advocate for hitting children. But something needed to be done.
Yeah, that's where you'll leave it. Little sprinkling there. Yeah, no, for me, I completely agree with you, but I would have just like, I'm not a huge advocate for movies being longer, but I think if this movie had been 2 hours, 1 hour 50, just really like lengthening it a bit so that you have the slow build of her being crazy, her sort of like in the beginning misplacing something or thinking something's there that's not there, or something that isn't there is actually there, and she's trying to interact with it, and it's just really cool. And we go with her on the journey of, oh, she is potentially crazy, and then you can leave it ambiguous. Like the ending was. And
maybe even like instead of phoning her best friend to keep checking in, she's actually phoning her therapist, like, so that like this is a real concern she has and she is like seeking treatment for it. But the therapist can be increasingly more concerned and like there are things.
There are devices.
It wouldn't have meant extending the movie by very long at all.
No, exactly. You're so right. And it would have been very cool to even know that she had a fear of
Mhm.
also ending up like her mother, and we get none of that. There's
Yeah.
no consent. She just goes to visit her mum once, and her mum, you know, apart from being like kind of just more engrossed in her painting than anything
Yeah.
else, doesn't really seem that far clocked out or anything. So like the full extent of this sort of mental ineptitude doesn't
Yeah.
really come across.
No.
Yeah. So would you watch it again then?
You know, I didn't mind it. I feel like if
Mhm.
because visually again, this movie's so cool. It has this like fun 90s aesthetic, like her clothes
Mhm.
and everything. Um I feel like if I were doing like a gothic horror night, would totally do it. Would have
Mhm.
this on the in the background of like a Halloween
Yeah, yeah,
party.
yeah.
Um, I think it's definitely worth people checking out if you like gothic horror, and
Mhm.
especially if you like The Turn of the Screw. This is another interpretation of it, and you can evaluate how much you do or don't like and what you want to take away from it. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think, you know, for the most part, for the first, you know, hour and 15, it's a really
It's
good movie in
really
terms of,
good. Yeah.
you know, the individual scenes you get, you know, sort of with the fish, and when Miles is teaching her how to ride the horse and he keeps like whipping
Oh,
it, and like the tension that builds.
yeah.
It's so good, is that
Yeah.
tension building aspect. Like
Such great
this film isn't
performances.
yeah, this film isn't particularly scary necessarily, but it builds really
It's
nice
tense.
tension. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's what's really, really nice about
Yeah.
it. And then it just kind of falls apart. So yeah, I completely agree. If you're a fan of horror films, definitely check this out. Just don't expect too much. Just
Yeah.
walk in slightly apprehensive and you'll be
Yeah. But I
fine.
do think it
Yeah.
definitely deserved like more than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, to be honest.
Definitely. Like we've seen some doozies which are far worse than this, who have
Yeah.
scored better, and that's not very fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think we should be employed by Rotten Tomatoes as like the fair police, and just like come around to every movie and be like, hey now, hey, stop that.
Guys, guys,
Come on,
are we
be
sure?
nice. Yeah, be
Hmm.
nice. Come now. Just
Okay.
the mom in every comment section, just be like, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, my fantasy now is for you to tell me about Fantasy Island. This
Well,
could have
then
also been a horror novel
yeah,
episode.
that's true. Good
Look at
job
us.
accidentally grouping that all together.
You know, I'd love to say I do anything on purpose, but I
Mm.
just don't.
Okay. So, this movie follows a group of people who have won a free trip to Fantasy Island, an island that supposedly is able to make your deepest fantasies come true. And no one's really quite sure how that works. The island is hosted by Mr. Rourke, played by Michael Pena. He tells them that based off of the surveys that they've done, the island will start fulfilling their fantasies. And people don't really believe it at first, but things start picking up really quickly. The guests include Maggie Q, played by Gwen Olsen. Gwen Olsen, played by Maggie Q. Her fantasy is actually to have been able to go back in time and say yes to a marriage proposal instead of no, and start a family with this man. She finds that suddenly she's on a date with the guy. He proposes again, and she's like, oh my God, yes. And she has this wonderful father and child, and she doesn't understand like how this is happening or why. Meantime, Melanie Cole, played by Lucy Hale, her fantasy is to get revenge on her high school bully who completely ruined her life and shattered her self-esteem. Her high school bully, Sloane Madison, played by Portia Doubleday, is seen tied up in some like torture viewing room, and all Melanie has to do is press a bunch of buttons to inflict different damage on her. But at some point, she realizes that it's not a hologram and Sloane is real. She panics, rescues Sloane, and the two of them make a run for it. Next is Patrick Sullivan, played by Austin Stowell. His dream, his fantasy is to be a soldier. He always wanted to sign up for the military, but never had the guts. And he wants to live out that fantasy now, especially because his dad died in combat many years before, and he wants some piece of his father's heroism. The fantasy starts out pretty normally, but then he runs into, guess who? His dad, and
Oh
realizes
no.
that he finally has a chance to save his dad this time, and it's a whole thing. Finally, we have Brax and J.D. Weaver, played by Jimmy D. Yang and Ryan Hansen, respectively. The two of them, their fantasy is to just live it up, which is the most relatable. There are lots of pool parties and models in bikinis and music, and like they have access to like all these crazy weapons that they could just like fire into the ocean, and all these cool sick like suits and stuff. It's really fun, like good
Yeah.
for them. However, they find that just like because you have it all, other people want to take it, and the gangster who used to own this island suddenly comes back so that he can get his shit back, and things get dark. Obviously, all of this stuff coalesces into a shitstorm. Gwen's fantasy is quickly unraveling as she realizes that actually she feels like she doesn't deserve this husband and child because she never saved this man in her apartment building 6 years ago who died in a fire. She then demands the ability to be able to go back and save him. Otherwise, she'll never be able to move forward. While she's in this like vision alternate reality, she notices a couple of the other island inhabitants there, including Brax and JD, as well as Patrick. So she's like, this is kind of weird. And everybody's fantasies are corrupting. Obviously, Melanie's corrupted really quickly. Patrick Sullivan with his dad, like he's realizing that his dad was actually maybe a coward the whole time. They're trying to rescue Brax and JD. JD gets shot. It's really horrible. And now they're running because they've realized that actually they're in someone else's fantasy, and it's a revenge fantasy after them. Eventually, they work out that it must be the fantasy of someone who loved Nick. Nick was JD and Brax's old roommate who died in a fire after his roommates forgot about him. Melanie says that she was a classmate of his that rejected him, and Patrick was a policeman who could have gone in but decided to wait for the firemen, and by the time the firemen arrived, it was too late. After a bit of back and forth, they think that it's maybe Nick's mom who's seeking this revenge, but when Gwen tries to talk to like an island produced hologram version of Nick, he has no idea who Nick's mom's name, I don't know who it is.
It was like Jenny or something, yeah.
Yeah, Jenny or whatever.
Whatever.
So she's like, oh, that's really weird. And that's when Melanie drops the bomb that actually it's been her revenge fantasy, because she went on a date with Nick. They really hit it off. They were going to spend their lives together, and he missed the date because he was stuck in the fire, and she's never forgiven any of them for ruining that for her. And so This is her revenge fantasy. And also that's why Sloane's there, because like, you know, why not just chuck in your high school bully if you're going to spend all that
cause to
money?
effect, etc.
Yeah. So the gang is trying to escape from Melanie. It's a whole thing. And eventually they reach like the big stone that's like the key to the island's power. And they realize that Sloane hasn't had her fantasy. And Sloane says, I wish you and Nick could be together. And Melanie gets drowned by ghost Nick. And that's it. The end.
So what is your cliffhanger for this one?
Oh, my cliffhanger is definitely this one, which is when they just get off the plane and it's like, oh, welcome to Fantasy Island. And there's like so much exposition-y dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite painful.
This is how you do. I mean, it wasn't a TV show from like for a good 10 years, you know.
Yeah.
So we need the exposition.
We need
for,
this exposition.
Younger.
Yeah. And they couldn't have done it in like slightly better dialogue instead of all of them talking at this poor lady who just works here.
Yeah, you know, story time and you know, good storytelling doesn't exist in this universe. So we just gotta exposition that shit.
Oof.
Saves time. So what did you enjoy about this movie?
Why don't you answer that first? I'm still thinking.
Okay, well, I thought it was really pretty.
Yeah,
I loved
true.
how pretty all of this was. Sort of like the island was great. Yeah, the hotels and everything was great. The visuals of it is really, really fun. The fact that JD and Brax have this like massive house and all the models, there's a jet ski in the pool, which is just, you know, categorically unsafe, but I kind of still loved it. The fact that, you know, they've built these different sets, which is just super, super fun. Kind of gave me Lost vibes as well, which was really good, like and reminiscent. I enjoyed that kind of thing. And yeah, like it was just nice to see pretty people in pretty places doing pretty awful things to each other. And yeah, I just thought visually this is where this movie stood out.
Yeah, no, definitely fair enough. I, I would agree, actually. I also think like the
Hmm.
hotel and the staff and all white and stuff, like you start off and you're
Hmm.
like, I'm so jealous. This looks like a bomb vacation. Like,
Uh-huh.
what the hell? Um, I I found a lot of the dialogue like a little awkward, but it really depended on the
Yeah,
actors because the JD and Brax, the two brothers, they were so perfect. They were actually
they were
like
brilliant.
honestly the best part of that. They were so funny when they're like sitting in
Uh-huh.
the pool and like there's this model there who's like, "Wait, well, why don't you let your brother move out?" And she's like really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I love, yeah, that whole dialogue is brilliant. And I mean, it's funny. It's like a good comedic break. And I think this is what sort of Bloomhouse always does very well with their
Yeah,
horror movies and
true.
things
They have some
is,
very likable characters.
yeah, likable characters and funny dialogue. Like, I think they've really nailed it on the head of what makes a good horror movie in the
Yeah.
fact that it's not all just jump scares
Yeah.
and doom and gloom. Like, you do have those moments of levity which make it so good.
Yeah,
And you know,
that's what I said to Rudy as well when he asked. I was like, this isn't like an amazing horror movie, but it's bad in the exact way that I like. Like it's a little
mhm,
self-aware, it's still like
mhm.
entertaining, it's still funny, like it's, you know, it's not like the deepest thing I've ever seen, but it doesn't have to be.
No, exactly. It's just it's exactly what you want from a movie called Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
Just an hour and a half of just good old-fashioned fun, you know. It's a story that you can easily follow without actually having to pay too much
Oh,
attention.
you can be on your phone for a lot of this.
Yeah. I think the first time I watched this film, I was ironing the whole time, and it was
Nice.
just perfect for that kind of thing. You know, it
Yeah.
just makes time go by really, really fast, which is lovely. You know, there's the guy from um, The Walking Dead in it. He's the reporter in this one
Ah,
who like goes crazy and is just kind of
yeah.
on the island. He's really fun too. That was nice to see. Yeah, there's just like as a whole, as a collective, it kind of fails. But in the individual bits, you're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is great.
It's
This
a
is
fun
appreciative.
movie. It's fun. You've got
Mm.
Maggie Q being beautiful. You've got Lucy Hale being beautiful. The woman who plays Sloane, Portia Doubleday.
Mhm.
She is low key such an amazing actress. She was in
Uh-huh.
Color Out of Space.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
She was in Carrie. She was in
Oh,
Her. She's just
wow.
so cool. I think
That's
she was in
awesome.
Color Out of Space. Hang on, now I'm
Now you're
concerned.
questioning yourself.
Oh, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, she wasn't in Color Out of Space. That must have been a different
Oh, okay.
actress. Still,
Still though, that's really, really cool. And
yeah.
yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, there are problems with this movie. Like yeah, there are lots of issues with sort of just the concept in itself.
Yeah,
Um
the island
yeah.
isn't that consistent.
No,
Like,
no.
it's a soft magic system, so like, you know, but like Michael Pena's like, no, I have to facilitate people's fantasies so I can keep seeing my wife. But his wife keeps
Mm,
dying. So it's like, dude, you're not getting that much out of this.
no.
Like, and then like it he's like, oh, the staff will protect me because the island gives them a taste of their fantasies. And it's like, oh,
What
but
does
then
that mean?
they know that they're never gonna get their fantasy. Like that seems kind of shit. Um
Yeah.
and
Like it would have been just better if he had just been like, "Oh, the staff will protect me because they get a bomb ass deal that they get to live on this sick ass island all
yeah,
year round."
exactly.
That's all you
Amazing.
needed to
Great.
say.
And like really good benefits and good vacation time. Which
Yeah,
in the service industry, that's hard to come by. Um
exactly.
and then like Lucy Hale's character is difficult. Like, and I don't think that's Lucy
Oh,
Hale's fault. I think that's the
no.
director, right? Because she starts
Mhm.
off like when she first gets on the island, she's like the sarcastic,
Yeah,
kind of
sexy.
sexy, like a
Yeah.
little bit slutty. Like she says all these really provocative things to the guys.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then like she's like, oh yeah, I had this bully, and then she rescues the bully, and like that like makes so much sense as a character arc. And then it's like,
Uh-huh.
no, actually. She's someone whose self-esteem is so cripplingly low that she never forgave
Mhm.
people who ruined a possible boyfriend for her.
Yeah, one date. That's pretty incredible. And I think even Brax says that at one
Yeah,
point.
he's like, "They went on
He's
one
just like,
date?"
well, they went on one date, which is great. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But just even like following the logic of that. So she pays for this fucking island fantasy thing.
Yeah, 6
And then
years
she
later.
sits
So
down
she has been like scheming for
planning.
6
Yeah.
6 years is a long time.
Yeah, and she comes up with this. So what's great about it is like the sole focus of her individual fantasy is technically just Sloane. So,
Yeah.
you know, she basically invites all these people over to just kind of realize their own downfalls and like see their fantasies play out in like the worst way and then kill them, I guess.
Yeah.
Why did that take 6 years? Why did Rourke agree to this? Why wasn't he just like, why, we could just have you kill them? Like, why not have them hunt, like,
Yeah.
you hunt them for sport? Like, why? You're making my job really difficult here,
Yeah,
chick.
it's like feels like a really unreasonable request. And like, then she rescues Sloane at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it felt like they just really wanted to include that scene because like it is a cool scene where she realizes like, oh shit, this is real, and she rescues Sloane and they have like a bit of a reconciliation. That's really cool. But motivation wise, it makes no sense. Like she spent 6 years and a lot of money plotting revenge, and she's got
Yeah.
her high school bully right where she wants her with a bunch of torture devices set up. And she's like, no, I'll free you and play weird mind games.
Yeah, it makes very, very little sense, and just in like involving her old therapist as well. Like,
Yeah.
I understand for like an audience point of view, that's great, that's important because it throws us off. It's the red herring. But from her point of view, when you look back at this movie after you finish watching it, and you're like, "But why? Why
Yeah.
go through this trouble?
Like it's just a lot.
It's an awful lot. Like, and I understand she's crazy, and you can always use that as a justification, but no."
Like she's not, I don't know. It's not built up very well.
Yeah.
Like you get to the twist and you're like, oh, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've also, I think someone needs to explain to her that causation is not correlation, because some of the motivations behind some of these people like makes no sense. Like her roommates, why them? Like they were just there in the vicinity. Like if it's anyone's fault, it's the chick who started the fire, and that's it. It's Maggie Q's fault, and that is it. Like,
and she's
to
clearly
bring in everyone
racked with
else.
guilt. Like it's ruined her life.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it goes back to as well what you're saying about like no nice story arc. Like she doesn't learn anything. None of the others kind of really, they're already feeling really shitty about what's happened.
Yeah,
Like,
it's clearly
there is
affected all of them.
Yeah, I think the only story arc is Rourke, who is kind of just like, okay, I've got to let my wife go, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stay on the island anyway and make sure everything's just okay.
And then like, so yeah, I think this is a really fun watch, but you really can't think about it. You can't.
No, this is
Top
another
level
one.
stuff.
Look at the pretty pictures and just get it over with. Yeah. So what's a scene? Do you think there is a single scene that could have saved it? Or like, what is your thinking with this?
I would have maybe again liked more clues in Lucy Hale's personality. Leading up to this, just maybe showing a bit of instability, showing some volatility. Maybe she's like a little bit aggressive to the other clients, or like she says something weird, or like loses her temper for like no reason. And people are like, oh, okay, what the fuck is her problem? Like just like a little bit more of a hint that she's unstable. Because at the like beginning, she just seems like a very reasonable, sarcastic person. And then you get to the end, you're like, oh, and what is the point of like this arc anyway?
Yeah, you make a really good point there. Yeah. There is no story progression with their character, and it's just okay. Yeah, you were not crazy, and now you're crazy because we need you to for the plot.
Yeah, that's basically the theme of both of these movies that we've covered.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Oh,
There's
now
so
she's
many
crazy.
connections. Yeah. Is that what the episode's called? Oh, now she's crazy episode.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of just would have really liked to see Rourke sacrifice himself at the end.
Yeah,
So
to be with his
obviously,
wife
like,
for real.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so we get the point, like, he lets his wife go, and that's a very beautiful moment, etc., etc. But it would have been cool with the grenade if he had just been like, he had thrown it into the pond thing, but what we didn't see was he had pulled the ring out, and so he like throws it in, blows up the heart of the island. He goes down with it, and everything's over. And it's just great because he's learned his lesson. Everyone's learned their lessons that sometimes your fantasies will never play out the way you want them to, and never meet your heroes and whatever. And it just, I think it would have really been a nice bow, a really nice little tying it off.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. Actually, that would have been really nice, and it would have grounded the movie a little bit more with like a central moral.
Yeah, exactly. So, would you watch it again?
Probably not. As far as Blumhouse horror goes, this is definitely like not my top 5.
Yeah, this is the B team.
Yeah. And like once you know the ending, like it's a bit. I don't know. I was tired watching this movie.
Yeah, I get you. I get where you're coming from. I think, look, it's such an easy watch, and I think the best way to view this is if you have someone in your life who doesn't really like horror movies, and you're really trying to convince them, like, this is the long game now.
Yeah.
So, I don't really like horror movies. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry. What we'll do is we'll watch Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's produced by this company called Blumhouse. Oh, all right. I like Blumhouse. Okay, well, what about this? This is another great Blumhouse movie. It's called Annabelle. As you can see, Blumhouse only makes very chill horror movies. So I think you'll like this one. And then you trap them into watching The Conjuring, just, for your own benefit.
Oh my God. I have friends who would literally never forgive me. The Conjuring is scary. Like, it's a genuinely scary movie.
It is such a scary movie. Like, definitely top 2 horror movies of all time. Yeah. But yeah, you know me, I'm the king of burning bridges. So I don't really get doing that to my friends. Oh, well, thank you so much, Simone. I'm so glad we did a horror movie. I've missed horror movies,
Me
this
too.
Has been a nice
It's
little
so nice
respite.
to hop back in that little safe boat. I'm just gonna go blow my nose really quickly. I am like dying.
Go.
Ugh. Okay, so much better.
Good. Look at those comfy pants. I really like the comfy pants. Look
cold.
at you. You're proper. You're getting into the cold season now.
I'm ready, honestly. I'm ready to buy some cute winter outfits with my salary.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. It's getting into summer now, so we'll have like 4 hot days, which will be good.
Yeah.
And I'll buy some like a nice suit with some shorts, some suit shorts. Just, like,
very cool.
Show off my legs. Right, Simone, I know what your gratitude is of the week. I'm so excited for you to tell the whole world about your gratitude for this week.
So
go for it.
I got the news this week that one of my short stories has been picked up and will be published by Ghost Orchid Press in their Dark Hearts anthology that is upcoming. So I'm going to be a published writer.
Oh my God, it's so exciting. That is so huge.
It's really crazy.
Oh my God.
Like, I truly cannot believe
nuts.
it. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful to everybody who read my stuff, who supported me, who helped edit, who like was just generally wonderful. Like, I'm so lucky. Chad, thank you. You were like so supportive, such a driving force.
Of course. You're a flawless queen, and I just want to see you flourish, and now you are flourishing, and I'm so proud of you. You are incredible. And this is amazing. Yeah. This is your glow up, and I'm so proud of you. It's
very
so cool.
happy.
Everyone who listens to this podcast has to go buy the anthology now.
Yes.
It's the rule. Please go buy it.
I'll announce stuff.
Not because Yeah, just do it and support our lady. She's absolutely brilliant, and you'll love her writing. It's not just like sort of a vanity thing. Like you will genuinely love her writing. It is
Especially
so
like
good.
you're listening to the horror episode now, you guys. Like this is a horror
Yeah.
anthology. It is gothic horror. So if you liked the turning, if you liked the turn of the screw, like this anthology is going to be right up your alley.
Hit it up. Yes, do it. And yeah, so many more to come, Simone. Many more to
Thank you. God, fingers
Yeah.
crossed. What's your gratitude?
Well, I saved it from last week so I could bank one because it's exam studying time, so literally nothing happens. So I'm glad I had this
Fair
banked.
enough.
But I got a job, which is really exciting, which is so
Yay!
good.
Look
Both
at
of us are
us.
now back in employment, which is really good. I will be working as a paralegal, in the commercial property department. So I'll be dealing with like buying of schools and selling of schools and all that kind of thing, which is really cool. And yeah, really looking forward to it. Looking forward to a salary again. Looking forward to actually be working in the legal industry. Yeah, should be really fun.
Yay! Congratulations. Look at us.
We
I
are
wish
killing
that
it.
a year ago we'd known this was going to happen. But
Yeah,
that
should we
being
go back in
said,
time?
if I'd known a year ago what that year was going to look like,
Good Lord.
I would not have survived.
No. Because now, if you think about it, so we're in March. Lockdown is about to happen. Everything's about to go to shit. You know, this is the turn. This is where, you know, act 2 of 2020 starts, and you know, then it goes wrong. So if we went back in time and we're just like, right, don't look at how much I've aged in a year. Ignore that. All I want to say is just hold tight. Things are gonna be fine. Just, you know, everything's gonna be terrible still.
Like, what do you mean? It's just going to lock down for 2 weeks and then we'll go back to normal, right? It'll all be fine,
Slap
right?
us. Just slap us in the face and just be like, don't be such an idiot.
Oh, you naive fools.
You are run by governments who are morons. Fuzzy-haired morons. All of us. Oh, but it's fine because this is where things turn around. This is where Gandalf has come back.
I'm touching
to...
wood so hard.
I know.
Like,
So am I.
dare
So am I.
you.
I know. But this is Gandalf joining back to the fight of
Yeah.
Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
This is the fifth
True.
day. Gandalf is coming through. Yeah, this is it now.
Mhm.
So Simone, what are we gonna do next week?
I have an idea.
So excited.
How do you feel about doing Amanda Bynes week?
Oh my god, I love her. Yes. About it.
So I'm going to give you 3 options to choose from.
Okay.
Sydney White.
Okay.
She's the man.
Okay.
What was the last one I wanted? What a Girl Wants.
Ooh, okay. Do you wanna I know what a man wants, what a girl wants, and I know what She's the Man are about. What is Sydney White about? Because I've never
It's
heard that
basically
one
like
before.
a Snow White story set in
Okay.
college.
Okay, cool. All right, then my choices have to be, without a question. Well, what do you think I'm gonna choose actually? And then I'll tell you.
I feel like you
Obviously.
might pick What a Girl Wants just because she does go to the UK and it's really fun.
To be fair, that's actually not what I was gonna go for. I was
Oh.
not gonna go
I
for
do
that
love
one.
She's the Man as well. Like,
I
don't get me
love
wrong.
She's the Man. It is so funny. It is such a brilliant film. So I was actually gonna go, if you're down with it, Sydney White and She's the Man.
Perfect. I'm ready.
You know?
So those
Yes,
got 35% and 43% respectively on Rotten Tomatoes, but an audience score of above 70% for both of them.
Wow. Okay, so this is the typical critic slated,
Yeah.
community loved, which we love doing.
That's our sweet spot.
I'm very excited to see how badly She's the Man aged. I'm so excited.
Oh God,
for it.
I'm nervous.
It's one of those movies where you're just like, oh, I remember this being so much fun, and now I'm like, there's gonna be so much homophobia and transphobia. You just know it. You can just feel
yeah. I'm just
But it's gonna be
brush
fun.
up, make sure at least I can use the right language.
it. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And Amanda Bynes, good lords, what a blast from our childhood, right?
Yeah, she really was just like such a huge part of our like she was, you know, Hilary Duff, the Olsen twins, Amanda Bynes. Like
Mhm.
that was
it was
it.
It was the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah,
with those 3.
pretty much.
Those 4. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate you listening to us, and we really appreciate you buying Simone's anthology. Very, very exciting times for all of us. And tell us, what are you guys doing? What is your gratitudes for the week? What did you enjoy most about Amanda Bynes' time in this world? What horror movies are you into now? Because, you know, as we, you know, our hearts crystallize into the blackened husks that they are, we're always looking for horror movies that actually do affect us. And it's been a while, hasn't it, Simone?
It sure has.
So any recommendations are highly appreciated. And where can people recommend things to us?
They can talk to us on Facebook or Instagram at Fresh Tomatoes Podcast, on Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP. They can email us at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com. They can hang out with us in the Robots Radio Discord. Recently, our good friend Cilio pointed out to me that we were both very wrong about Zack Snyder and Justice League, and egg on our faces. Thank you, Eric.
We do love egg on our faces, don't we? It's high in protein.
High in protein, good for the skin.
And with that message to all of you, as we say at the end of every week, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Very sexy.
Very sexy.
We love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Bye.
Goodbye.